Welcome to Geometry Pre-AP, the greatest class in the world. Today we're going to talk about surface area of solids, and we're going to start with our prisms. Before we start our lesson, though, I want to go ahead and remind everybody that remember, you'll need to turn in your notes from today, and that when doing video notes, all examples, including problems you must work, need to be written down, not just those ones that I ask you to do. So make sure you get all that information written down. So here's our first theorem for today, theorem 12.2, which is the surface area of a right prism. Surface area of a right prism is S is equal to 2b plus pH. There is an alternate here, which is the apothem times the perimeter plus pH. We don't tend to use this one much. I don't even want you to worry about memorizing that one. Just stick with the one here, 2b plus pH. Remember that the big B stands for the area of the base. You'll need to show your work for the base area, and then the big P is perimeter of the base, and then the little h is the height, which is the distance between the bases of the prism. There are different kinds of prisms. We have a rectangular prism and we have an oblique prism. So in a rectangular prism, your height is a lateral edge. In an oblique prism, your height would be outside and would be a piece that's perpendicular to the base. You cannot use the surface area formula for an oblique prism. You have to break it into its parts and find the shapes and add them all together. So just again to remind you, the surface area of any figure is the sum of all surfaces. That's the key to what we're going to be doing. And sometimes you'll have to break a figure into all the different surfaces to find out what the surface area of that figure is. All right, so here we have a right triangular prism, and we're going to find the surface area. Now, if you know the formula already and you want to see if you can do this problem, pause the video and then turn it back on if you want to see all the work being done and you can check your work. So do that now, or you can follow along with me. So I'm going to write my formula down for surface area. So surface area is equal to pH plus 2b. So I need my big B work. So let's start with big B is equal to 1/2 little bh, because this is a triangle. So I have my base and my height. So big B is equal to 1/2. My base is 12. My height is 5. So my big B is 1/2. 12 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. So I got my big B. Now what's my H here? What's my height of my prism for this formula? And my height would be 10 for the prism. That's the distance between the bases. What's my perimeter? Now my perimeter would be, of the base would be 5 plus 12. That would be this. Oh, I'm missing this value here. I need that hypotenuse. So we're going to have to do a little work there. You're going to have to do 5 squared plus 12 squared equals, let's call that h squared there for hypotenuse. In reality, you should know that one already because that's a Pythagorean triple. And we know that that comes out to be 13. So it's going to be plus 13. So my perimeter here is going to be 30. If I go and look at my formula over here, I've got everything I need for surface area. So surface area is going to equal my perimeter, which is 30, times my height, which was 10. Remember that that height there is the height of the prism, not the height of the triangle. Two different h's there. Plus 2 times my base, which was 30. And so I got 300 plus 60. So I got 360 centimeters squared because this is my surface area. So it's the total area of the sum of all the surfaces. Now you could do this by breaking into all its different parts, but we learn these formulas because later on if we have to solve for a missing value in a formula, it helps us to be able to work through that process. All right, so here's one that you need to do. So pause the video, work this problem. Let me remind you, you're going to need the height of the trapezoid. You don't have that. You do have the height of the prism, which is the 12, and you're going to need to find all that information. Make sure you show all your base work. Make sure you show your surface area formula and all the information plugged into there. So pause the video and do that problem. Okay, so you should have had this problem finished by now if you started the video back up. And so here is your answer to check with. The answer is 1,536 inches squared. Remember that this is area, so our units are your inches squared now. All right, so here's an oblique prism. I'd actually like you to stop the video and do this one on your own first, and then when you've got it done, start the video back up. I'm going to run through the process of finding this problem. Okay, so if you've done this problem already, then your answer should be this. 6,000 feet squared. If you did not get 6,000 feet squared, then you're probably going to need to sit back and watch me run through this whole process. So let's start off here with this base. All right, we get this base right here, and this seems to be a rectangle. So that blue part is going to be 24 times 32. Oops. 24 times 32. And there are two of them. There's the one on the top and one on the bottom, so that's going to be times 2. So that's going to be my base, and that's going to be equal to 32 times 24 times 2, which is 1,536. Next, we need to find the area of this piece. All right. Well, that piece, we'll do the green part here. I'll just call that another B. It's going to be 45 times 24. And of course, there are two of them. There's one here and there's one over here. So we got both of those. So 45 times 24 times 2, which is 2,160. Here's the tricky part. Now, I'm going to just erase all these little colors off here for a second. Let's get those out of the way. And let's look at the one piece that we have not found yet. The piece we have not found yet is this one right here. Okay, and so I'm going to call that another B because it's kind of like a base, right? It's a rectangular oblique prism. But all right, so we know the base of that's 32, but we don't know this piece right here. Well, we know that this is 27. We know that this is actually 45. That's great. Okay. We have that piece. But what we don't have is we don't have this number also, and we need that number over there because in order to find the area of something, we need its base times its height. So this is my base, and this is my height. That 45 is not a height because it's not at a right angle. So I need that height to find that piece. So I'm going to have to do a little Pythagorean theorem here. So h squared plus 27 squared equals 45 squared. H squared is equal to, actually h is equal to 36. It actually comes out to be a Pythagorean triple. So you could look back and look for that Pythagorean triple in there. I think I see a 9 times 3 here. 9 times 5 there, which means it must be 9 times 4, which was 36. So it was a 3, 4, 5 Pythagorean triple. Okay, so this is now 36. Now I can do 32 times 36, and there are two of those. So 32 times 36 times 2 is 2,304. When I add up all of those, I get 6,000 feet squared. Okay, so it's an oblique prism. You have to go find the area of each surface and then double it for this figure and have the sum of all those pieces. Remember, surface area is the sum of all the parts. All right, now here's a complex shape. This is a prism with a triangle, equilateral triangle hole through it. So let's think about this figure first. Okay, we need to find the area of all the surfaces. So if I look, I've got this surface, the one at the bottom, and the one on the side. Those are all the same. So I could think of this piece right here that I'm outlining in red as the base, and the other parts are the lateral areas. So if I think of LA for a prism, that would be PH part, right? So perimeter times the height. So this is my LA of my prism. So my perimeter here would be 9 plus 12, which is 21. Right, times 2, which is 42. So this is going to be equal to 42, and then the height would be the 8. Okay, so I have that 42 times 8. Okay, so that would equal 336. All right, so that's the LA part. Now the tricky part for this problem also is that we need the LA for the triangular part. Well, each side is 6, and the height of that would be 8. And then there are 3 triangles. So remember, those 3 sides of the triangle make rectangles going through, so that's times 3. So we have that 6 times 3 times 8. That is 144. So that's another LA part. This is the LA of the prism. This was the LA of the triangle. right? Now here comes the hard part. We need to deal with the base. The base looks like this, all right? And we need this shaded part here. So we need to find the area of this rectangle. So this is going to be a 12 and a 9. And each of these sides of this triangle here are 6, 6, and 6. So if I was thinking of that shaded area, I would need to find the rectangle, which is 12 times 9. And I'd have to subtract that equilateral triangle ladder, which would be, we're going to use the s squared square root of 3. So 6 squared square root of 3 over 4. So 12 times 9 is 108 minus 9 square root of 3. This is the base. Now how many are there? There are 2. So I get 216 minus 18 square root of 3. Now I got to add all my parts together. So I'm going to add 336, 144, and this all together because that's the base and these are all the other surfaces. When I add all that together, I end up with the answer 696 minus 18 square root of 3 inches squared. Remember, these units are not alike. They cannot be subtracted. We just leave them alone. This is an exact answer. So remember to break it into its parts and look for those parts so that you can find all the surfaces and have the sum of all the surfaces. All right, here's one for you to do. You can pause the video, do this figure, then turn the video back on when you're ready to see the answer. Okay, so here is your answer. 140 minus 24. Oops, no, that should be 140. That's my bad. That's wrong. This is 604 minus 24 squared root of 3. All right, so there is your complete and whole answer. 604 minus 24 squared root of 3. Actually, 140 minus 24 squared root of 3 was the base area. Times 2 at least. All right, so 604 minus 24 squared root of 3. If you had a problem with that, make sure you bring it back to class and we can discuss it and go over the parts in class. Thanks for watching the video. See you tomorrow in class.